We're waiting over here. I've got a question for you. How's the movie changed your life?
Oh, it's made it so much busier. You know, people recognize me now in the airport, and people say to me, well, how do you feel about all this attention and everything? I get a lot of letters from little kids that look up to me. I feel it's a responsibility. You know, it's a responsibility, and I try to answer do a handwritten card to all the little kids. Now, my email address, it can be found on the internet, but it's not on the front of the web pages. They're going to have to dig some. If they dig, they can find it. They watch the end of the movie. It tells them where to find it. They just watch that. If you look at the jacket flap in some of my books, it also tells you where to find it. You know, but they're just going to have to look a little bit.
We'll send all these guys your email. They'll get it.
All right.
Send it to you. Hey, one other thing I've got to ask you, how was Claire Danes to work with? As you started working with her and then she got into the character,
Claire Danes
tell us
is
about
a very, very serious actress. And I spent half a day with her, and she videoed that half a day. And I told her all what autism was like. Then I gave her about 5 or 6 hours of the oldest tapes I could find. I had an old tape from the late 80s. I had some early 90s tapes. And she put the audio on her iPod and just listened to it all the time. And she had like 10 hours worth of stuff. And then she had a speech coach and a movement coach. And she just worked to become me. She's a very, very serious actress. And really, I mean, it's just amazing. Because when I first saw that they were going to put Claire Danes in there, I looked at her up and I go, blonde? Oh. Like, you got to be joking. And they put a wig on her, and Mick Jackson, the director, was really anti-wig. And so they wanted Claire to cut her hair off, and she didn't really want to do that. So they just got in the makeup trailer, and they put this really nice wig on where they like took a crochet hook and pulled her hair out through this netting. It's like, sounds like really gross. And then combed it back over and sprayed some temporary dye and hairspray on it, sent her out in the set, and they already filmed a whole bunch before Mick realized it was a wig, and that's what they ended up doing.
Dr. Grandin, you brought up the gestation stalls in the swine industry, and I've been breeding and raising show swine for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, do you have any sort of engineering plans to maybe create a new sort of system for that?
Well, there's a lot of people that are, when switching over to pens, they're putting in the European system where you lock them up in the stalls when you feed them. The other thing that has to be done is changing genetics. When the lean line pigs came in the late 80s, they bred a pig to be lean and rapid growing. They also bred a mean pig that fights a lot. Now, nobody deliberately bred a mean pig. But you had 25 years where there was no genetic selection for temperament because they live in a box that can't fight. And so the people that have been making the group housing work, you've had to change some genetics. Now, one good side effect of that is you're going to improve the pork quality. Because a lot of these lean pigs got so lean, the pork was all dried out and tough. You know, so some of the breeders are now putting a little bit of fat back in, get a little bit gentler pig, and now you've got a little juicier pork chop. You know, and back in the 80s, no one would ever think you'd ever have to do a Warner-Bracks shear test on pork chops. And then I had some Nyman Ranch pork, and it was really tender. And then living outside's not what makes it tender. It's genetics. Size of the muscle fibers, and you're going to have to just cull some of these sows that are really nasty and that really fight.
Okay.
And there's a number of different systems that can be made to work. Mm-hmm. But there's certain pigs that just don't play well with others. That
sound like college students here.